Okay, Laura, I'm gonna try. It's like a screen recording feature in the iPhone that I'm gonna try to see if I can get this to work. So it allows me to kind of touch it and work around with it while we're recording. So I know you like to just kind of pick one thing. So we're gonna just kind of pick one thing to talk about. And the main thing, and I've got another camera angle entry. And I see this in the sweep rowing, and I see this in the single too. And this is what we're going to call missing water, and it usually is precipitated by a hesitation to put the blade in. So let's just play it first. So just watch the blade go in. Let me zoom out a little bit. That was pretty significant there. That was, you could see it go up and then go down. And what is it that I'm looking for? So probably somewhere in the neighborhood of where Dana's front part of her rigger meets the boat is kind of like historically where your blade is at when it's ready to go into the water. So let's look at this again, especially when I get more perpendicular to that location. That one wasn't bad. That one we missed water. So now kind of look at the black tip relative to the side of the boat. That's a little bit past that. So, but just look at the point that it's in the air closest to the bow. Does the blade go into the water? And if we don't get, just think, if we were stationary and just dropped the blade, we would have what I call a V-splash. We'd have a splash on both sides of the blade. So if we have no splash on the side of the blade, so all right, so we've got some choppy water and we know the blades are going to be a little bit off the water. So now the next thing is trying to find, all right, so I'm just going to kind of tap this along. So now we're going to get to a point where the blade, that black edge of the blade, we're going to be able to see on the white part of the boat. Okay, it went back a little bit. I'm just kind of double tapping the start and the stop. Okay, so now it looks like you've gone back as far as possible, and that's where the blade should be going into the water for sure. Like it should be, that bottom edge should be touching the water at the point that it's the closest to the bow. But now we can begin to see it start to come back. And not that Dana does it perfect every time, but you can see Dana's, it's like there's a magnet and it's drawing Dana's blade to the water. And so hers is going in and yours is, there's a combination of, there's some stalling where it's just kind of frozen in time, and then it's actually starting to go. And see, now here's the other thing, when I zoom this a little differently, your body looks really, really good. And your shins, maybe it's kind of hard to see. It looks like you might be a little over compressed, meaning the shins are past perpendicular. So now think of your lower body basically getting stuck. The heels can't come up much more. You've gone past perpendicular. The body, the butt has stopped, and now the body's collapsing. And think of it like in a car where you've got a seat belt around your waist, and so your hips don't go anywhere because of the seat belt, but your upper body still kind of lunges forward. And that's why they created the seat belt, that goes above the shoulders. But when I was a kid, it just went above your waist and your whole body kind of flung forward. That's what's kind of happening here. So, and I think that causes this little hesitancy, and we'll kind of watch it back again. Let's play it again. All right, so now we can get, we're going to watch the blade. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So honestly, it looks like your shins are parallel, and you probably should be getting into the water at this point. I think there's no reason. Let's see how much further you go. See, and now if I could back that up, I got to get a different app here. But the body stopped. It looked like you actually overcompressed again, and the shoulders, the body angle changed at the last second, and now that handle is going up. And now it almost looks like your butt started to move back to the bow and the blade wasn't in the water. And now the butt has definitely moved and your blade is now halfway in the water. This is what we call rowing it in. So you're putting it in while the legs are pressing or the body is beginning to move back to the bow. And so when we get to a point of what I call full suspension, that looks pretty good. We're just not generating much at the very beginning. And so it's taking us a while to get this bend in the oar. And then I think when there's a last second lunge, then the body wants to reprotect itself by opening up. And we'll see this again when we check. Let's check the blade depth with the white tape. So it goes in shallow, but then by mid-drive, it's a little overburied. Do you see that? And then I think you feel kind of getting stuck at the release versus getting it locked and set all the way in at a proper depth, having the handle more shallow through mid-drive, and then kind of prying the handle up to a nice high rib point at the release. But I think a lot of that, that's probably the point that it should have gone in. So then if you felt like you were going to be early, you're just going to have to slow the slide down more. And I knew this was going to be difficult to feel timing connection that far away from anybody, especially you're trying to follow carry and you're that far away. But hopefully you can see, especially in the reflection that happens with the gray of the water, and you can see the shins overcompress and the body just kind of falls onto the shins. Let me see that one more time. And then the butt and seat don't kind of move together through the drive, and we're not locking it in. The weather didn't really help today with regards to what I call a catch placement drill of working and setting it first before we get going. That one was pretty rough right there. The butt slid out. The blade really wasn't in. You could see there was a last second lunge and the butt had nowhere to go. If you're going to rock over more, the butt goes back to the bow ball. So anyhow, so the problem, if you will, is rowing it in. The cause and effects are what's going in inside of the boat. Hopefully that helps. So I've got another video that I'm going to post separately that are doing a pretty solid job with regards to your elbow and the release, but you'll also be able, you'll be able to see some of that missing water. So I don't know if I can, actually I probably can do it right here. Yes, I can. Let's try this one. So just watch at the point where the bottom edge is the closest to the water. And did it go in? And is it being rowed in? And is there any splash on the back side of the blade? Any splash on the back side of the blade? We can try this one too. I think this one I focused in on it a little bit more. That had some backsplash on it. And we're getting into choppier waters. We're coming in. I think this is the last video I shot of the day. And I would encourage you to, just to, in order to stay leaned into rigger, that it's an interesting head turn away from the oarlock. So right at the release, so I like how the hands are going in, but maybe just kind of unweight that handle just a little sooner. And then as the hands come into the body, kind of lean your head a little bit into the oarlock to kind of get that leverage component. Hard to see black on black there, but I think you can see some of the missing water stuff. All right, hopefully this helps. And thank you for letting me practice as a guinea pig on this concept here. All right, and I'll stop recording.